Hello, word nerds, and welcome to the dictionary. My name is Spencer, with some poofy hair, and this is episode F60. And there's a very good chance that a certain guest will pop in later this episode for a word, and so I'm going to assume that is going to happen, and I'm going to leave space for that, and we shall see what happens. Ooh. I am recording this right after the long 4-day Thanksgiving weekend, which is always wonderful for me to have 4 days. And on the day after Thanksgiving, Sharon and I drove down, way down, on a very cold day to Peoria, Illinois, to go to the Peoria Riverfront Museum to see the Jim Henson exhibit, because of course we are both Henson fans and all the various things that he did. And so we went down, and it's an exhibit that I think goes until early January, and it goes through the history of how he got into this and the other people who were involved, and they have little storyboards that he created and scripts and notes and very old puppets that he created with his team. And there is a documentary on Disney Channel about him, but you don't get to see this stuff in person, and it's so very cool. And of course, they have Muppets, they have Kermit, they have Benson Honeydew and Beaker, and they have the Mana puppets. Those were so good to see. And they have Grover and Bert and Ernie and the whole worm carnival. And they have 2 of the Muppet Babies, the real-life Muppet Baby puppets from Muppets Take Manhattan. They have Miss Piggy and Fozzie. Sharon was crazy excited to see those. And they have some labyrinth things and dark crystal things. And so if you are in the Peoria area at the end of 2024 and you have time and it's not sold out, I think you should go check it out. And so when I was there, I recorded some sort of spur of the moment, backwards talking videos that I have been doing recently, and I will be posting those up for the next week or two at the time of recording, which is December 2nd. And they were not probably very good. I haven't checked them all, but I didn't have the time to practice. And so today I am wearing a Kermit the Frog here t-shirt. Where it's Kermit's face, and it's made up of all these other Muppet characters, and I like it so much. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the words. The first word is fender bender, 2 words, noun from circa 1962. A minor automobile accident. It was just a fender bender. Nothing more happened than just the fender got a little bent. Maybe a dent, maybe the whole fender went bronk, but that's it. There was no other damage to the car. It was very simple. It's just a fender bender. I mean, I guess if I'm going to be in an accident, I would prefer it to be a fender bender, but I don't even want to be in those, because then you got to talk to the person and maybe do insurance stuff, and it's a whole thing. So I try to just be a very careful driver. So I got no fender benders, please. Well, I guess my sound is going to be the sound of the fender bender. Bronk. Next we have fenestra. If you remember, I believe, way back in the D's, we had defenestration or something like that. So now we have some other fenestra words, including this one, fenestra. Noun from circa 1737. Number 1. A small anatomical opening, as in a bone. Ooh, what bones have a fenestra? Well, maybe the hip. I feel like the hip has some holes. Are there the femur, those types of bones don't have holes. Your skull has fenestra. There's holes for your eyeballs. I think maybe in like the side of the jaw, there's probably some holes, maybe up here in the skull. I don't know. But we have some sub definitions. 1A, the synonym is oval window, And that is called also fenestra ovalis, or no, ovalis? Fenestra ovalis, the oval window, it's a very specific thing, maybe in a bone. And it's also called fenestra vestibuli. Vestibuli. It's like a vestibule, a window vestibule, a window in a vestibule. Oval window. Okay. Now we have B, 1B. The synonym is round window. And this is called also fenestra cochlei, which I believe is in the ear area. And also fenestra rotunda. Fenestra rotunda. What are all of these fenestras? Are they all bones, part of bones? What? Okay, number 2 is an opening cut in bone. So is this like when the brain surgeon needs to go check on your brain, work on your brain, fix your brain, remove something from your brain, they have to cut your skull off. Skull off. And maybe that would be a fenestra. Oh, I have a window in my head because my skull is gone. Fenestral with an L, that is an adjective. It's a Latin word, fenestra, which means window, if you didn't know that. We don't really use this word in a lot of other things, I guess, other than bone. So let's talk about these other related words. We have fenestrate, or fenestrate, emphasizing either one of those first 2 syllables. Adjective from 1835, and the synonym is fenestrated, which is our next word. Fenestrated. Adjective from circa 1852. So fenestrate or fenestrate was 1835, and then 17 years later, they said, we're just going to call it fenestrated. That's our adjective now. Having one or more openings or pores, P-O-R-E-S, as in the example, fenestrated blood capillaries. So these blood capillaries have one or more opening or pore, and we know a fenestra is a window, an opening, so that makes sense. Just recently, so the end of November, the podcast Ologies had an episode all about veins and arteries and capillaries. She interviewed an expert, she's like a vascular surgeon or something like that, which sounds like a very difficult and specialized type of surgery. And I got to learn more about this system inside of us. And the capillaries are when the arteries go through your body and then they spread out all over, and they get smaller and smaller and smaller until they become these capillaries, which they said are like microns thick, smaller than the thickness of a hair. And it basically becomes this web to allow these single blood cells to go through and release the oxygen molecules that are attached to them and other things. And so they have to be very, very small so those molecules and things can go through. And, I think you got these capillaries just all over your body. They get closer to the tissue than the arteries are or something. And it's a crazy, crazy system. And the fact that they can do surgery on it at all is bonkers. So these fenestrated blood capillaries have openings or pores. Pores, like your skin's got pores? Those kinds of pores. Kind of. A little bit. Bloop. Next we have fenestration. Fenestration, noun from 1846. Number 1, the arrangement, proportioning, and design of windows and doors in a building. So what is the fenestration of that building? Well, the fenestration of that building, for some reason, they decided to go with one door and one window right above the door. And there are no other windows in the building, and really not any doors either. So that is some very interesting fenestration. That building has some interesting fenestration. The arrangement, proportioning, and design of the windows and doors. The openings, all the openings. Number 2, an opening in a surface. And that surface could be a wall or a membrane. Oh, I have a door in this room. There's some walls, and then there's a door. And the door, so the fenestra, the door is the fenestra, but the fenestra has a fenestra. There's a window on the door, which, if I took out the glass, would be an opening, but it's just a hole with glass. A membrane, yep, like the capillaries, the veins, the arteries. I guess maybe more the arteries, and other things that have just holes in them. Okay, number 3, the operation of cutting an opening in the bony labyrinth between the inner ear and tympanum to replace natural fenestrae that are not functional. Whoa, what are we talking about? The whole inner ear situation. The operation of cutting an opening in the bony labyrinth between the inner ear and the tympanum. And I kind of feel like I want to see, like, what is the tympanum? I know that there's the I gotta find my my keys. Where's my home row? Oh, there's my home row. Tympanum. Architecture? Sure. What's this? Oh no, that's a building. I want to look up the ear. The tympanum, also known as the eardrum or tympanic membrane, so I guess it's the same thing, is a thin circular membrane that separates the outer and middle ear. And so there's this bony labyrinth. Well, if you look at a picture, the bones, could you call those fenestra? I don't really know. But when I guess doctors got to go do some surgery in the inner ear area, they have to do fenestration because they have to cut an opening to get in there. But very specifically about that part. And it's to replace the natural fenestrae that are not functional. What fenestrae? What openings they're not functional? What specifically? I don't know. Maybe I got to put a link in the show notes for fenestration about ears and hearing. Next we have fenfluramine. 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 Noun from 1965. One long definition. An anoretic amphetamine derivative, C12H16F3N, with little stimulant effect on the central nervous system, formerly used in the form of its hydrochloride to treat obesity, but no longer used due to its association with heart valve disease. Ooh, and it says also see fenphen, Fenphen, which is interesting because the word fenfluramine has no pH in it, but the shortened name, the colloquial name, fenphen, does have a pH. That's so weird. So yes, it used to be used to get people to lose weight, but it's not very healthy, and I think that there are better ways to lose weight if you so choose to be losing weight. So fen, F-E-N, is an alternative of fen with a pH. Okay, so that's where you got that part. The fluor is an alternative of F-L-O-U-R, and then plus amine, and it doesn't say what any of those mean, of course, because they're very sciencey specific words. But I'm sure they're related to C12H16F3N. Yeah. Okay, I got nothing else for that. Oh, so now we're going to go on to the word with my guest. Boom. And now we are in a new location with my mom. Say hi, Mom.
Hi, Spencer.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
So we are here to briefly talk about feng shui, and I'm going to read you the definition, and then we will talk about feng shui.
Okay.
The definition, according to the dictionary. Feng shui is a noun from 1797. It is 2 words, and it is spelled Fengshui, and it is a Chinese geomantic practice in which a structure or site is chosen or configured so as to harmonize with the spiritual forces that inhabit it. Also, orientation, placement, or arrangement according to the precepts of feng shui. That was some very interesting information. I will quickly talk about the etymology. This is a Chinese word, feng shui, which is just one word, which means geomantic omen, and literally means wind water. So, why are you here to talk about feng shui?
It's part of my past, my history. I became a feng shui practitioner back in the late 1989, I believe it was.
89? Oh, that was later than I thought.
I think
Or
it was
earlier.
80. Well,
Somewhere in the last portion of the 20th century.
Right, don't quote me on the dates.
Yeah.
I never do remember the years. But I started organizing people's homes, and then I started reading about feng shui, and I was just so fascinated. It really spoke to me.
Do you remember where the first time was that you heard about it?
I think I'd always heard about it, but I had never read anything. So, it was a wandering through the bookstore. I think I'll check this book out.
Yeah. This thing that I've heard of, what is this? How does it pertain to the work, the organizing work that you were doing?
Well, it's all about space and living in harmony with your space, kind of harnessing the energy. It's a little in conflict with being organized, not a lot. But traditional feng shui is, it's very rigid and it's very strict, and you have good directions and you have bad directions, and you want your bed facing a certain way or your front door. So really, if you're living in China and you move to China and you get a feng shui practitioner, you might either not move into that place, or you might have to move your front door to harness your good energy.
Right. It's the combination of your energy plus the energy of the space.
It's your personal, right. Your personal feng shui and the feng shui of your space.
And ideally, you would adjust the feng shui of the space to match with your own feng shui, because you can't change your feng shui or energy, but you can technically change the energy or the feng shui of a space.
Correct. Kind of like your feng shui is your horoscope.
Right.
You've been born on a certain day, and that's what it is.
So what designates your feng shui? How do you, is it your horoscope? Is it when you were born? Is it I know there's the directions are involved.
I'm really sorry you asked me that question, because now I have to try and dig through my brain to figure out. It's like a mathematical formula. So it is the year of your birth. It's the year of your birth. I think you add the last 2 numbers together till you get a single digit. And then if you're a man, it's one thing. If you're a woman, it's another thing. So God only knows what it would be now in this day and age.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, there are obviously people who are not, it's not a perfect system.
No,
right.
No, it's not a perfect system. But you have a number then.
You get a number from all that.
You get a number. So let's say my qua number is 4. So 4 determines what are my good directions and what are my bad directions.
And is that, I think I remember there's that octagonal thing,
yes.
And is it based on that?
The Bagua, let's see.
The Bagua.
Do we have that in this book?
This book, by the way, yeah, might as well call that out. A book that she wrote called Clear Your Space, Clear Your Mind, which I think is still available for purchase on Amazon, or no?
It sure is.
Sure is. And it's all about, it's her stories, her clients' stories, of organizing and like organizing in general.
So this would be really probably too small to see for the camera.
Right, but I could take a
But it's
picture.
an octagon
Right.
shape, and this tells you the directions.
So is
But
like
it
your
isn't-
number 4? Does that pertain to one of those?
No, that has nothing to do with
That's different.
this.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
that has nothing to do with that. And I'm not even sure I have anything in here about your good directions or bad directions. Regardless, you have good directions, you have bad directions. So, or I should say you have 4 directions starting from, for me, it's north, south, east, and I believe northeast.
So it's the 4 main directions plus the mixed ones, northeast, northwest,
But it isn't
southeast.
west.
They don't.
No,
west,
mine.
Yeah, yours aren't. But those are the 8 directions that they use.
Yes, the 8 directions are north, south, east, west,
Right.
and then northwest.
The
north.
combinations, yeah.
The combinations.
So your 4 are those, and then so are like 1 or 2 of those considered like the not as good directions, or are those all your good
They're all
directions?
good.
Those are your
They're
good
all
directions.
good.
Okay.
And certain directions are better for tapping into certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you go to a restaurant and for whatever reason they call it the power seat. But maybe it isn't necessarily the power seat, maybe it's your power seat. Maybe you've noticed you like to face west.
Mm-hmm.
Or you like to face east, or when you're sitting at your desk at work, what direction are you facing?
Oh man, now I have to put myself in that space. What direct? I don't even know. It would be it's probably south, southeast, something like that. I think. Yeah.
So I sit at my desk and I'm facing
North.
straight north.
Yeah.
That's one of my really good directions.
Mhm,
Now,
mhm.
if I turned around and faced the other way,
That's
would I
south.
feel uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. How do you feel? That's a lot
Yeah.
of questions.
Well, and
in
it depends
feng
on
shui.
the space. Like when you bring up the restaurant example, like I know that I don't really like to be in like the center necessarily, and that power seat for me is where I can see
Everybody.
right and not have a lot of people behind me. But that's completely dependent on the space, at least for me it is.
As opposed to the direction
Yes.
that you're facing.
Yes. I have no idea what direction I'm facing at any given moment. But I guess to dig in a little bit to like your house and how feng shui works in your house, can you talk a little bit about like I know that there's talk about mirrors and the energy flow, like when there's a stairway and
There's some really basic feng shui no-nos. And the caveat here is I don't really believe in all of this. So I'm saying these things that I learned, but I don't necessarily live by them because I think it's really hard, which is why I gave up doing feng shui and went into just organizing. Because, well, maybe your door is facing the wrong direction, but you're never going to move. So why would I want somebody to feel bad about that?
right.
I'm going to take the space and make the most of it.
Yeah, yeah. You would take elements of sort of feng shui and the energy and how it feels, but you are not a 100% feng shui practitioner where you were doing the numbers and the bagua and all you weren't strict about all of that stuff.
No, I'm not into the rules of it, but I am into if you want energy to flow, then you can't have a lot of clutter. Things need to be clean, picked up. So, all that stuff stops the energy from really flowing.
Hence the title, Clear Your Space, Clear Your Mind. That's a big part of that.
Because it does, and it clears
Yeah.
your mind. So, let's see, we were going deeper into how does that affect me and my house, the way I live? Was that the question?
No, but does it? Are there things in this house that are like specifically like other than north, facing north here at the desk? Although that again, I think that's more dependent on the space. Like, or was that on purpose
That was on purpose.
to be north?
Yeah, that was on purpose. Yeah, I'm aware of it, and if I can do it, I will.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Oh, this is what we were talking about. Feng shui no-nos.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the feng shui no-nos is when you walk into a house, if, I mean, this is the theory, if the stairs are directly in front of you, then that's a bad thing.
Because the energy just goes right up the stairs.
Just goes right up the stairs.
Right.
So that's a bad thing. Let's see. Leaving toilet seats up. They say if you leave it up, flushing your money down the toilet.
Interesting. I mean, I think from a hygienic standpoint, it's also good to just close it. I'm a big proponent of that.
And so I learned traveling with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you told me.
Everybody should be closing the toilet seat. But also, you might be flushing your money down the drain.
You might be flushing your money down the toilet. Let's see, what else is it? Oh, mirrors. So you asked about mirrors.
Yeah.
So mirrors, you shouldn't sleep in a bed where you can see yourself in the mirror.
That's a little chortle from
the peanut gallery over there.
Dad over there. So does that mean, like, if you are laying in bed and there's a mirror on the wall over there, but you can't see it from where you're laying down, is that a no-no? Or is it from any position from your bed, there should be no mirror
Well,
visible?
I think the big no-no is that you're lying in bed and there's a big mirror in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's a big mirror above you.
Right.
Or, a mirror that's right there that I see myself in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's a no-no.
Specifically in the bedroom.
Specifically in the bedroom. Yeah. Yes, in the bedroom.
Is there
sleeping.
Is there other stuff about mirrors in other parts of the house about reflecting the energy or?
Yes. Yes. So you want to reflect something that you want to double or expand. Mirrors expand the energy. So, I mean, it's a great idea. You put a mirror across from a window. Now you've expanded your light.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
People hang crystals to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to a house. I went to a house once where she hung crystals because she thought that that was a really good thing and it was a very feng shui thing because the fractions of light and
right.
reflects everything. So, but her house was a pit and it was filthy. And what was she reflecting? What was she expanding?
Just all the stuff.
All the crud and the dirt and the grime. And I'm like, why would you want to hang crystals here?
It's going to make a bigger impact on your life if you get rid of all that crap than putting crystals in your window.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. The thing about the energy flow up the stairs, I always thought that one was really interesting, and it made me think about just the energy flow of anything. Like there's roads that curve, and like, well, when it curves, what happens to that energy or something? And I mean, I don't know. I've never been able to feel energy or be aware of it in any way, but there must be something, because everything is energy. So like, it makes sense that like if the first thing people see is a stairway when they walk into the house, that's going to have some sort of effect.
So yes, it has to do with energy, but then also there's this welcoming factor, that when somebody comes into your home, you want them to have that moment with you, that greeting, say hello. It's a very Chinese thing, that welcoming someone into your home. And if the staircase is right there, then it's almost like you're distracted. Like there's something over there that's pulling your attention away from the person who's answering the door.
Yeah, yeah. So there should be ideally just some sort of like a welcoming space or something.
An entryway.
An entryway, yeah. A vestibule.
A foyer.
All those words are great. Yeah.
Foyer, that's another F word.
It is. We'll get to that eventually. So is there anything else that you feel like is really important to talk about feng shui, or have we tapped your brain on, or...
Well, let's see. Let me see. There was something in here that I was thinking maybe I would read. Of course, did I mark the page? No. Okay. Right. Be patient for one moment. Okay, so here's the definition, the history behind it. Okay? Feng Shui is the ancient Chinese art of placement in one's environment. It is all about energy. We talked about that. Flow and harmonious spaces. There are many schools of thought based on this venerable Chinese practice, but simply put, Feng Shui began in China as a way of determining an auspicious location to bury the dead emperor.
That's where it
That's where it began.
Interesting.
Because it was believed that a grave site protected from the harsh forces of nature would ensure a better afterlife. So that's how it began. And so the feng shui practitioners back in the day were really the scientists of the day, because they were, looking at the way the winds came and the water, and let's bury you somewhere where it isn't harsh and you're protected.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, interesting. So yeah, I bet if you go to China and you look at grave cemeteries or probably grave sites of the emperors, they're going to be in this really interesting location or some, I don't know.
Well, let's go.
Let's go. All right, everybody, let's go. Field trip. Well, thank you for talking to me about feng shui. I haven't really heard anything about it since you were doing all of this, and
when
it's
you were
been
12.
Yeah, or in my teens or early 20s. That was when I think you were much more into it at the time. And so I got a little bit of an education, and I hope people did too. And you can go learn all about feng shui. I should probably put a link in the show notes and a link to this.
Just remember,
book.
It's feng shui, my shui.
How do people pronounce it that really gets under your skin?
Shui.
Feng shui?
Feng shui.
Yeah, that's a very American way.
It's not good.
Yeah. It's not respectful.
All right. Well, thank you, Spencer.
Thanks for officially being on my podcast, and we'll have you back again for a whole episode, maybe.
You mean for the foyer?
Maybe for the foyer, because I know you have strong feelings about foyers.
Bye.
Boom. Thank you so much to my mother for joining me on this podcast in an official capacity, finally. Maybe one day we'll get her to be on a whole episode, but for now, just one word is great. And I hope that we had a wonderful conversation. So now we have Fenian, capital Fenian, noun from 1816. Number 1, a member of a legendary band of warriors defending Ireland in the 2nd and 3rd centuries AD. So the 2nd century AD would be the year 100 to 199, and then the 3rd century is the 100 years after that. So from about 100 to year 299, give or take. So that was almost 2,000 years ago. How many? 19? I don't know. I'm not doing the math. They were defending Ireland, and they were warriors, and they were the Fenian. The Fenian. I never heard of them. Let's put a link in the show notes for Fenian. Number 2, a member of a secret 19th century Irish and Irish American organization dedicated to the overthrow of British rule in Ireland. So clearly, they got this name from those original warriors all those hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and they said, you know what, we don't really like Britain in our country, in Ireland, and so we would like to get rid of them. And, what are some other people from our culture who were fighting the fight that we believe is right? They were called Fenian. We're going to call ourselves Fenian. So I guess we have to have a link in the show notes for them as well. Both groups of Fenian. What's the plural? It doesn't say. Maybe it's already plural. Maybe it's Fenians. I don't know. Fenian is also an adjective. Fenianism, that is a noun. I suspect that many people from that whole area, Great Britain, UK, whatever, they're all sort of different versions of different things. This island is called this, and this group of countries is called this. So probably a lot of them know about the Fenian, especially the more recent one, because it's only from the 1800s. But I didn't know anything about them. So, where does the name come from? I suspect it's Irish, probably in part from Middle Irish fenny, which means freeholders or legendary settlers of Ireland. So either they were the legendary settlers of Ireland, or that's what the word means. That's probably just who they were. The Feni or fenny, also from the Irish Fianna, which means band of warriors. So yes, they were the band of warriors who were the early settlers of Ireland, and they were fighting for their right to party and maybe drink some Guinness. Plop. Next, we have fenning, F-E-N-I-N-G. Noun from 1998, and it says see mark at the money table. The word mark, I guess. So what does that mean? Who's using this money? The etymology will tell me, and I shall tell you. This is Bosnian, Croatian, and Serbian. And it is from the German word fenning or pfennig, which is spelled with a PF at the front, a PF, a pfennig. And so then Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, they were using this as their money, and I don't know if they still are, but maybe that's why it said C mark. Maybe they're using a mark, or it was a mark before, and then it became a pfennig. Yeah. Boop. Next we have Fenland. Fen and land, Fenland, or Fenland. Noun from before the 12th century. This is an area of low, often marshy ground. Low ground that is often marshy, maybe kind of swampy, maybe kind of sticky and wet, and maybe your shoes are getting stuck in this Fenland. There is no etymology. It doesn't say why it's Fenland. Fen. What's the fen prefix here talking about? Did we have? Let's see. I found it. In the previous episode, no less. We had just the word fen, which was lowland that is covered wholly or partly with water unless artificially drained, and that usually has peaty alkaline soil and characteristic flora. I vaguely remember reading that. And so, yes, an area, that's why it's the Fenland, because it's an area filled with some watery stuff. Now we go to Fennec, F-E-N-N-E-C, Fennec, noun from 1790, a small pale fawn fox with large ears that inhabits the deserts of northern Africa and Arabia. And I have heard of these foxes, these pale fawn foxes, and I have seen pictures of them, and they are so darn cute. And I gotta post a picture of a fennec. Yeah, their ears are so big for their head. It's great. It's great. A fennec fox. The species name for this is Vulpes zerda. Vulpes zerda. And also Phenicus zerda. Phenicus zerda. Oh, very, very good. Oh, the name, by the way, gotta say, the name is from the Arabic because they are in the deserts of Arabia. Their word is Fanak, F-A-N-A-K. And so I guess here in English, we heard that and we're like, well, we don't like your spelling. We're going to change the spelling. But I think we should have kept the spelling. Next, we have fennel, F-E-N-N-E-L, noun from before the 12th century. It's an oldie but a goodie. This is a perennial European herb of the carrot family, having two cultivated forms. One of them is subdefinition A, which is the commonly cultivated form having aromatic leaves and seeds. Leaves and seeds and leaves and seeds. And B, the synonym is Florence fennel, which I guess we'll get to in the FL section. Florence fennel. Florence Hemingway. Florence Nightingale. I don't even know if these are accurate. Florence Henderson. Florence fennel. All the famous Florences. The famous Florences. Okay, so the species name for the A1, the common cultivated form is oh, I should go backwards actually. The species name for the whole thing is Funiculum vulgare, and so the common cultivated form with the aromatic leaves and seeds is Funiculum vulgare dulce. Is it a little sweet? And Florence fennel doesn't say what the species name is, probably because it says that in the future definition, which we'll get to, so you got no information now. But where does this name come from? It comes from Middle English, fennel, with one N, Old English, fenugel, from Vulgar Latin feniculum, Latin feniculum, which means fennel. Okay, not much of a difference, I guess. It's a diminutive of fenum, which means hay. So I guess, does it kind of look like hay? I'm sure I've seen fennel. I've heard of it. I've probably eaten it. I don't remember. I don't really do so much with the cooking. Fennel. Doesn't it have a sort of interesting taste? It doesn't talk. It has aromatic leaves and seeds. But what's the flavor? Let's talk about the flavor. Let's look up flavor of fennel. And, oh, yeah, I saw fennel has a mild licorice or anise flavor with hints of mint and honey. Yes, I did sort of remember licorice or anise being part of it, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't say. Okay, that's fennel. Why don't you go make something with some fennel tonight? You got some handy? Where do you get it? The store, probably. Maybe you grow it. Bloomp. Our last word is the word fenny, F-E-N-N-Y. It's an adjective from before the 12th century. Number 1, having the characteristics of a fen, and the synonym is boggy. Oh, like the bog of eternal stench. That's a fenland, maybe. Fenny. Yes, I believe so. A bog with bubbles that come up from the liquidy lake of stench. Number 2 for fenny is archaic. It means peculiar to or found in a fen. So this thing that's found in a fen, found in a bog, in one of those swampy, marshy lands, it's fenny. And then also just something that comes from there is fenny. Okay, great. I don't know, would animals be described as fenny in this way? Maybe the plants are fenny. I can't really think of anything else that is naturally occurring in a fen. Let's see. Yep, we don't got no etymology because it's pretty clear. It's from a fen. So now I shall tell you a little story about the word of the episode. Once upon a time, we had fender bender, fenestra, fenestrate, fenestrated, fenestration, fenfluramine, feng shui, or feng shui, or feng shui, Fenian, fenning, fenland, fennick, fennel, and fenny. I think I don't want to get in a fender bender, but I think I'm going to pick feng shui as the word of the episode. It's been, I guess, a little like popularized, Americanized, anglicized. It's something a spiritual, energetic, cultural thing from, let's confirm I have, yes, China. And we've sort of taken it, and it's probably evolved in, various ways, and I don't know if all of those ways are proper or 100% respectful. I don't know. Maybe I'll have a little talk with my mom about that, or will have had a talk in the future past. But I think that there's probably something to it, because everything is energy, and I don't personally feel it or experience it in any way, but I definitely think that there's something to it. There's like for instance, like a road that like curves around. There's one in particular that I'm thinking of, and there's sort of that energy flow, the physical flow of the cars, and then the exhaust and those lives going around that curve over and over again. And like and there, if the cars are going towards this curve and there's like a building or a thing there, but then they veer around, like, what does that energy do? Does it flow around? Does some of it go straight into that building? And then does that have an effect on that building? And I don't know. I just don't know. And so, so that's sort of part of the idea of like the flow of energy and guiding it, and not putting certain things in a place where the where the energy is naturally flowing, maybe not putting something right there. I don't know. It's a fascinating thing, and I don't know. I think maybe we should all be thinking about that a little bit more, about like just your energy flow, your chi, and yeah. I just know sort of the basics because my mom has been sort of involved in this for a long time, and so you sort of pick up on things from that, and she knows a lot more than I do. Yeah, Americans, people like to sort of make fun of the whole thing, but I do think there's something to it, and so they like to pronounce it feng shui. Yeah. Anyway, I gotta sing a song about feng shui. Feng shui is the... I'm trying to think of the words. Feng shui is moving energy, dealing with energy. What's the chi in this place? Feng shui. That's about all I could do. And I'm not going to tell you about a movie because we would be all out of order, and we can't have that. So I'm going to end this episode. Thank you so much for checking out this show, this podcast. I appreciate you. Happy holidays. Oh, by the way, I should. Let's call out some holiday dates. Some holidates. Here are my letters. Hanukkah 2024. It's pretty late. It starts on the evening of Wednesday, December 25th, 2024, which is Christmas Day. So they're both starting on the same day pretty much. And it goes all the way until Thursday, January 2nd. It's not so common that Hanukkah goes until the next year. And then, just because I know it's around this same time period, let's look up this Kwanzaa 2024. I think Kwanzaa is more on the same days every year, like Christmas. So December 26th through January 1st. And I think there's probably some other things going on at this time of year. But, celebrate in the next couple of days that it's the shortest day of the year, and now we're getting more light. At least here in the northern hemisphere, it's the opposite for you in the southern hemisphere. Now you are going into darkness and winter, you southern people. All right, that's it for this show. Thank you so much for checking it out, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Wow.